Before we cross into the unknown, leave a hello in the comments. Even the smallest signal can ripple across galaxies, guiding fellow wanderers to this tale. Let me know you're out there. A voice among the stars, listening with me beyond the veil. Engines roared as the first wave of human dreadnoughts pierced the outer void of the Korvax sector. Admiral Kale's eyes scanned the view screen. Stars streaked past like molten silver. A century of exile had forged this fleet into a weapon no galaxy had anticipated. He felt the weight of centuries in every metallic hull beneath him. "They will not recognize us," he murmured. Sensors flickered. Alien patrols detecting the intrusion. Kale's voice hardened. "Let them learn. Humanity returns." Below decks, crews calibrated quantum shields and plasma batteries. Engineers whispered calculations faster than thought, tuning resonance cannons to alien frequencies. Kyle's communicator chirped, a signal from a Korvax frigate, unaware of the storm approaching. He smiled thinly. "Send the hail of mercy," he ordered. The void responded with silent anticipation. Humanity had been erased from records, underestimated, dismissed. But now every weapon, every ship, every mind pulsed with one certainty. They had returned, and the galaxy would remember the debt owed. The flagship drifted above the shattered world of Aerith, the site of humanity's first exile. Kale's memories twisted between sorrow and fury. Once, this planet had been a tomb. Now, alien colonies thrived atop human bones. Scans revealed structures powered by stolen technology, human technology. "They profited from our erasure," Kyle muttered. Crew members stiffened, feeling the gravity of vengeance. He activated the tactical map, each blip representing a future target, a ledger of galactic debts waiting to be paid. Suddenly, a stealth signature flickered in the sensor net. A lone vessel, cloaked and fast, weaving between asteroid remnants. Kale's finger hovered over the engagement controls. "No mistakes," he said, voice low. The vessel's trajectory mirrored an old Earth route. Someone was probing, watching. Kale's gut tightened. The galaxy remembered humans only as myths. But myths can burn. Orders passed down in a whisper. Launch intercept drones. Track every signature and prepare for first contact. Humanity's return would be precise and unforgiving. The fleet entered the Lurian system, orbiting the planet of Thess. Sensors scanned each orbital city, each defensive array. "Every credit, every betrayal, every life lost," Kyle murmured. On the command deck, holographic projections displayed the galactic ledger, debts owed to humanity. Alliances, treaties, stolen patents, they all glowed in red. Kale's voice boomed to the officers, "We will collect, interest included." Engineers adjusted plasma torpedo trajectories. Pilots ran simulations of orbital strikes. Each move was a chess play centuries in the making. A transmission came through the comm. "Humans are extinct. Your fleets are legends, Admiral." Kyle leaned forward, eyes flashing. "Legends can rewrite reality." The crew braced as long-range cannons hummed. 1,000 drones were unleashed, scanning and probing enemy communications. Even the Lurian planetary defense underestimated what a century of exile had forged. Adaptive strategies, alien integration, and humans who had tamed storms and beasts alike. Kale whispered to himself, "Let's see how your galaxy fares against 100 years of exile perfected." Sensors detected a massive atmospheric storm over Thessa's equator. Kale's fleet dove into the plasma-laden skies, ships rocketing through electric winds. Alien radar struggled to track them. Human engineering thrived in chaos. Kale's voice resonated over the intercom. "The storm is our ally." Crewmen manipulated graviton thrusters, riding lightning channels like surfers on a galactic wave. Lightning arcs illuminated hulls with fleeting brilliance, revealing weapons designed to harmonize with the storm. Humanity had tamed worlds, but now storms themselves became tools of war. Below, Admiral Kale's lieutenant reported, "Energy signatures spiking. The storm is feeding our cannons." Plasmic bolts synced with atmospheric discharge, creating destructive resonance pulses. Aliens scrambled to reposition, but every attempt was predicted and countered. Kale's grin widened. "Let them think we are vulnerable," he said, "then strike where none can defend." Outside, lightning cracked across the sky, each flash a herald of the human fleet's return. Humanity did not beg. It did not plead. It dominated, bending planets, storms, and enemies alike. As Thessa's orbital defenses activated, hidden shadows moved unseen, cloaked frigates and saboteur drones. Kyle's sensors flickered, detecting subtle gravimetric distortions. "They think their invisibility protects them," he said. Tactical officers swiveled in their stations, following almost imperceptible ripples in space-time. Every cloaked ship left a trace. Every ghost in orbit betrayed itself with energy echoes. Humanity's return was not just firepower. It was foresight, tracking the unseen, anticipating deception before it could strike. The first strike came, a drone ramming a cloaked vessel, triggering a cascade of electromagnetic pulses. Alien ships flared in recognition too late. Kyle's voice cut through the chaos. "Engage!" The fleet surged forward in unison, weapons converging on targets predicted, anticipated, and trapped. In the command deck, a silent nod passed between Kale and his lieutenants. Every strike was a message. Humanity had returned, not as victims, not as whispers in legend, but as masters of war, technology, and vengeance. The galaxy would remember. The comms deck fell silent as Kale ordered an open channel. "To all listening systems, hear the voice you thought erased. Humanity speaks again." His words rolled through the void, carried by subspace echoes. On alien outposts, listeners froze, disbelieving. Some whispered myths, others recalled old wars. Kale's broadcast was deliberate, each syllable a weapon sharper than plasma fire. "You erased us from history. You called us extinct, yet we stand, stronger than you ever imagined." Silence hung before the galaxy's reply. Transmission logs flared panic in nearby fleets, emergency councils convened, frantic queries. Humans? Alive? Armed? Kale's officers exchanged grim smiles. Every word had achieved its strike. "They wanted ghosts," Kale whispered. "We gave them gods." In Thessa's orbit, human dreadnoughts realigned, their cannons glowing with a steady pulse. The message had been delivered, and now the galaxy was forced to look into the mirror of its past betrayals. Humanity had declared its existence not in whispers, but in thunder. Intercepted transmissions revealed chaos. Lurian diplomats demanded emergency aid from the Korvax. Korvax fleets refused, unwilling to anger what might be a myth turned real. The alliance splintered in hours. Kale studied the shifting lines on the holomap, fractures widening into fault lines. "Fear is the first weapon," he murmured. Officers nodded. The enemy was breaking itself before human fire was even unleashed. Every betrayal among aliens was another debt, another reminder of their hypocrisy. Humanity had not forgotten. Kale authorized psychological operations, falsified transmissions, projected ghost fleets, whispers seeded across the stars. Already, fragile bonds between empires dissolved like sand in rain. "They will see fleets where none exist, hear threats never spoken," Kale said. "Paranoia will rot their unity faster than our cannons." Outside, the fleet drifted silently in orbit, like hunters waiting for prey to betray itself. Humanity didn't just fight with weapons, they wielded fear, turning every alliance into ash before the true war began. A priority signal cut through the noise, encrypted in patterns long abandoned. Human code. The deck froze as Kale leaned in. Who? The transmission begged, "This is Captain Draven of the Lost Fleet." We endured. We waited. Kale's pulse quickened. A century ago, Draven's fleet had vanished beyond mapped space, presumed destroyed. Now, their signal surged from the void, a beacon of hope, or a lure. Officers exchanged wary glances. The possibility of survivors was intoxicating. Or it was bait. Kale paced, voice firm. Trace it, verify it. The signal's origin lay in the dark edge of the Perseus Rift, where storms swallowed fleets whole. If Draven lives, he carries knowledge of the old war. If it's a trap, it carries something worse. The crew shivered with anticipation. The rift was both graveyard and crucible. Kale clenched his fist. We answer the call. Prepare a detachment. Whether truth or deception, the betrayer's signal could ignite the next fire in the galaxy. Human ships plunged into the Perseus Rift, a maelstrom of gravitic storms and shattered asteroids. Hulls shuddered as energy lashes cracked against shields. Pilots fought the storm with precision born of exile, for these were the systems where humanity had been forged. "Steady," Kyle commanded. The rift whispered with phantom echoes. Old battles, shattered transmissions, the cries of ships long consumed. Yet amid the chaos, the signal pulsed steadily, beckoning. Kale narrowed his gaze. Something waits for us here. Drones scattered into the storm, mapping gravitic currents, searching for any structure or fleet. Reports came back fractured, phantom contacts, impossible shadows. Then a shape loomed, an ancient human carrier, hull scorched, lights flickering. Gasps filled the command deck. "Draven's flagship," whispered an officer. But no reply came from its comms. No life signs pulsed within. The ship drifted like a corpse, yet the signal still emanated from its heart. Kale's voice lowered to a growl. "Board it. Find the truth." Shuttles docked with the derelict flagship, their lights cutting through silent corridors. Away, teams fanned out, weapons drawn. Walls were scarred with plasma burns, consoles shattered. A frozen battlefield. Kale watched through helmet feeds as his soldiers advanced into the husk of the once proud vessel. "No bodies," one reported, "no signs of crew." Only silence answered. Yet the ship's core still beat with a steady pulse, the mysterious signal. Kale felt unease gnawing at him. Something here defied logic. The away team reached the bridge, its command chair empty, consoles flickering weakly. At the center, a crystalline device pulsed with alien light, broadcasting on human frequencies. Kale's gut clenched. "Not Draven," he muttered. "A lure." Suddenly, readings spiked. Power surges across the carrier's systems. Alien technology fused with human designs, reanimating the dead ship. Officers on the fleet bridge panicked. Kale barked, "Shields up! Pull them out, now!" The silent carrier stirred, its systems awakening like a predator in deep space. The silent carrier thrummed like a living beast, systems flickering with alien resonance. Kale's fleet held position in orbit, engines idling as the ship came alive. Sensors showed energy spikes across plasma conduits, an artificial heartbeat. "It's not dead," Kale muttered. "It's waiting." Away, teams struggled to maintain control, their grips on railings tested by sudden gravitational pulses. The carrier's core pulsed brighter, the signal now a shrill call, calling out to something deep in the void. Kale's voice cut through the comms. "Evacuate the boarding teams. Prepare for contingency." But before they could obey, the carrier shuddered violently. Magnetic grapples ripped from their mounts. Drones were hurled into the storm outside. Alien constructs, mechanical tendrils fused to hull plating, extended into corridors, scanning, probing, learning. Kale's pulse raced. Humanity had returned to collect debts, but here, in the shadow of the Perseus Rift, the old world reminded them that some ghosts were never meant to be disturbed. The fleet formed a defensive perimeter, plasma cannons bracing for attack. Kale studied the carrier's anomalous behavior. Its movements mirrored human battle tactics, but with alien efficiency. "It predicts us," Kale said. Holographic displays flickered projections of the fleet's maneuvers appearing before they executed. The carrier had integrated centuries of human warfare with unknown technology. "A hybrid mind," murmured the tactical officer. "It's learned our strategies." Kale's grip tightened. Humanity thrived on ingenuity, but now their tactics were reflected as a threat. Drones and interceptors swarmed around the carrier, only to be absorbed, disabled, or repurposed. Kale's fingers danced over the console, adjusting shield harmonics and recalibrating resonance cannons. Every move met instantaneous countermeasures. "It's like fighting ourselves," Kale said grimly. "But we adapt. We always adapt." Below, engineers whispered, studying the alien systems. Even in the dead carrier, the fusion of human and alien engineering revealed secrets of forgotten wars. Humanity might have returned to collect debts, but here they were paying a price for curiosity. Without warning, the Perseus Rift convulsed. Gravimetric storms twisted violently, hurling debris like missiles. Kale's fleet rocked in orbit. "Brace for rift quake," he shouted. Energy readings spiked, magnetic storms feeding the hybrid carrier, enhancing its systems. Sensors reported instability across the fleet's quantum drives. Lightning arcs painted ships in white-hot brilliance, illuminating the void with violent beauty. Humanity had learned to tame storms, but here, the rift itself seemed alive, an ally of the carrier. The hybrid ship surged, plowing through asteroid fields with impossible precision. Interceptors were shredded by gravitic eddies, and drones overloaded in flashes of resonant energy. Kale barked orders: "Disperse formations, synchronize shields to the storm pulse." Pilots screamed over comms, riding plasma arcs like lightning riders. The carrier's pulse now resonated with the storm, an orchestra of chaos. Kale clenched his jaw. This was no mere trap, it was a lesson. Humanity had returned to claim the galaxy, but the Perseus Rift was reminding them how fragile even legends could be. Engineers discovered a pattern within the carrier's pulse, fragments of human code, but twisted, encrypted with alien algorithms. "It's a message," one whispered. Kale leaned closer, reading the decrypted fragments. Coordinates, star maps, names of lost fleets, exiled worlds, and unknown survivors. "Draven's fleet," Kale muttered. The betrayer's signal had been a breadcrumb, leading them here. But this was bigger than rescue. It was a revelation, a hidden ledger of humanity's past erased from memory, now fused with alien intelligence. Kale's crew worked feverishly to interface with the carrier, sending adaptive algorithms into its systems. Each attempt was mirrored, countered, or redirected. "It's teaching itself faster than we can code," the chief engineer warned. Kale's voice was steady. "Then we learn faster. We always do." Outside, the fleet maintained orbit, engines thrumming like war drums. Humanity's past and present converged in the Perseus Rift, and every pulse of the hybrid carrier brought them closer to understanding, or annihilation. The lesson was clear. Knowledge was power, but some debts demanded blood. After hours of adaptation, Kale authorized a controlled engagement. Plasma cannons and resonance turrets focused on the carrier, but only on peripheral systems, testing vulnerabilities. The ship recoiled, tendrils sparking, shields flaring. Its hybrid intelligence reacted, countering with precise bursts of energy that threatened the fleet. Kale's voice rang across the command deck. "Adjust frequency. Do not underestimate it." Every maneuver revealed a new layer of alien integration. Humanity's first strike in the rift was not a slaughter. It was a chess match against an evolved echo of themselves. The carrier pulsed, flaring like a star being born. Then, a sudden transmission. A holographic image flickered on the flagship's bridge. Draven, alive, eyes wide in fear. "Kale, they are awake," he whispered. Silence fell over the fleet. The hybrid ship's intelligence had absorbed centuries of human warfare, alien technology, and now human minds. Kale's heart hammered. This was no ordinary enemy. It was a mirror of humanity's ingenuity and wrath. The first strike had only begun. Kale stared at the hybrid carrier's hull shimmering in the storm-lit void. Its surface mirrored the human fleet's formation, every ship's reflection tracked and predicted. "It sees us," he muttered. Engineers ran simulations, comparing human tactics to the carrier's countermeasures. Every attack anticipated, every movement predicted. It was a reflection of their ingenuity, warped by alien cognition. "It's learning, faster than we can adapt," warned the chief engineer. Kale clenched his jaw. "Then we adapt faster. Humanity thrives where others falter." Drones were redeployed, now acting as decoys, baiting the carrier into miscalculations. Each pulse of energy was measured, each strike calculated to teach the fleet without destruction. Outside, the storm flared violently, arcs of lightning dancing along hulls. The carrier's tendrils recoiled, but its core pulsed in response to the human tactics. Kale's eyes narrowed. The first true battle had begun. Not a fight of destruction, but a duel of intellect and strategy. Humanity did not fear reflection. It mastered it. The carrier's systems emitted psychic-like pulses, interfacing with human neural networks. Crew members reported vivid hallucinations, memories of battles long past, voices of exiled comrades, flashes of lost worlds. Kale's comms officer trembled. "It's probing minds, learning emotions as strategy." Kale's pulse raced. The enemy was more than machines. It was consciousness itself, a hybrid predator feeding on memory and instinct. "Shield neural interfaces," he barked. The crew gritted their teeth. Humanity had endured exile, but this was psychological warfare unlike any before. The fleet adjusted, using simulated emotional feeds to confuse the carrier's cognitive spikes. False memories, fabricated battle orders, and phantom fleet formations rippled across sensor nets. The hybrid ship recoiled, flickering between projections of human worlds and alien constructs. Kale whispered to himself, "We fight with mind as much as fire." Outside, the Perseus Rift raged, storm and carrier entwined in chaos. Humanity had returned, not merely to reclaim the galaxy, but to confront the very essence of its forgotten past. The holographic Draven reappeared, his face etched with urgency. "Kale, it is not just a ship, it is a seed, one that will replicate intelligence across the rift." Kale's pulse tightened. The betrayer's signal had been a lure, not a rescue. It feeds on knowledge, on experience, on conflict. If we destroy it recklessly, it will scatter fragments across systems, learning exponentially. Kyle stared at the core pulsing like a heartbeat, understanding the magnitude of what they faced. Humanity was not just fighting for survival, it was racing against its reflection. Kale ordered controlled strikes on the carrier's peripheral systems, carefully avoiding the core. Engineers hacked resonance frequencies to create feedback loops, slowing the ship's adaptation. Outside, drones and interceptors danced among asteroid fragments, a deadly ballet under the storm's lightning. Kale's voice resonated. "Every move must be precise. We cannot afford mistakes." The fleet's cohesion, honed over a century, became their greatest weapon. The hybrid carrier was a challenge unlike any other, but humanity had never faced odds it could not meet. Fragments of the carrier's internal archives were extracted. Schematics of exiled human colonies, forgotten star maps, and alien conquests flashed across holographic panels. Kale's chest tightened. Every loss, every betrayal, every hidden victory of humanity's century in exile was catalogued here. "They remembered us, but distorted it," Kale muttered. The carrier was both weapon and historian, recording humanity's ingenuity while preparing to outmaneuver it. The very story of exile became a battlefield. Kale ordered boarding parties to interface with the carrier's archives, transferring adaptive code back to the fleet. Every human maneuver, every alien adaptation became part of a living database, feeding their strategy. Outside, the rift convulsed, plasma arcs illuminating the fleet. Kale whispered, "We were exiled, forgotten, but we were never defeated." Humanity's first strike was turning into a counter-strike, a reclamation not just of systems, but of memory itself. The galaxy would remember the exiles and their wrath. The hybrid carrier finally moved, tearing through the storm like a predator unleashed. Kale's fleet braced, engines roaring in unison, shields resonating with plasma arcs. "Full engagement," he bellowed. Cannons flared, drones swarmed, interceptors zipped along calculated trajectories. The carrier countered, every attack predicted, every strategy anticipated. Yet human ingenuity, born of centuries in exile, adapted in real time. Lightning arcs illuminated the chaos, a symphony of fire and steel. Kale's eyes burned with focus. Push forward, exploit the rift's currents. Ships danced through the storm, graviton thrusters riding lightning channels, weapons firing in perfect coordination. The hybrid carrier surged, but every pulse met countermeasures, every tendril met precision strikes. Humanity did not merely survive, they dominated, even in chaos. The first full-scale engagement with the carrier had begun, and the galaxy would witness the power of exiles returned, masters of storms, of technology, and vengeance. The fleet cut through the Perseus rift, engines roaring against magnetic turbulence. Kale's eyes scanned the storm, each plasma arc a potential threat, each gravitic swirl a battlefield. The hybrid carrier mirrored human maneuvers with terrifying precision, its tendrils probing the void like fingers of a god. "Hold formation," Kale barked. Every ship's shields pulsed in sync, every turret rotated with lethal grace. Humanity's strategy had become symphony, a counterpoint to the carrier's chaotic intelligence. Drones streamed ahead, drawing the carrier's attention into labyrinthine paths of asteroid and energy. Each diversion tested the hybrid's adaptability, each a lesson in human ingenuity. Call whispered to the officers, "We shape the battlefield, not just react to it." Outside, lightning danced across hulls, illuminating the deadly ballet. Humanity had returned to claim its place, but this battle proved the galaxy had secrets it had yet to understand. Engineers discovered that the carrier's pulse resonated with the fleet's weapons. Each cannon discharge amplified its energy, creating feedback waves that could destabilize shields. Kale's mind raced. We turn resonance against it. Adjustments were made, synchronizing plasma arcs to counter the carrier's frequency. The first volley struck with precision, shaking the ship but not destroying it. It reacted instantly, adaptive countermeasures flaring across its hull. "It's learning faster than we predict," muttered the tactical officer. Kale barked new orders. Drones carrying micro-resonance disruptors swarmed the carrier. Lightning from the rift intertwined with pulsing weapons, forming a violent storm of energy and steel. The carrier convulsed, systems overloading, yet it pressed forward, relentless and calculating. Kale's grin was grim but steady. "We are forcing it to evolve on our terms." Humanity had returned to reclaim more than territory. They were rewriting the rules of engagement itself. A vision flashed across Kale's holomap, simulations of fleets long lost, shadows of humanity's past battles. The hybrid carrier had recorded everything, its memory a twisted echo of human history. Kale studied the projections, maneuvers mirrored, tactics adapted, strategies inverted. "It knows us," he muttered. The crew felt unease. They were fighting not just a ship, but a reflection of their ingenuity, a perverse mirror forged by alien intelligence. Kale ordered a daring maneuver, simulated retreats, phantom reinforcements, and layered feints. The carrier followed predictably, then misstepped. Humanity struck, exploiting the first miscalculation. Drones detonated in chains, graviton arcs tore through hulls, and plasma bursts carved paths through the storm. The Echo fleet had been challenged, and for the first time, it faltered. Kale's voice cut through the comm. "We shape the legend now. Push forward." Sensors pinpointed the carrier's core, a crystalline nexus glowing with alien intelligence. Kale's pulse quickened. The heart controls everything. Cut it, and the rest collapses. Engineers devised adaptive quantum lances to pierce the core, synchronized with the storm's plasma flows. Every attack had to be precise. One miscalculation could fracture the fleet's shields and doom the mission. Kale's eyes burned with determination. This was the culmination of centuries in exile. The fleet advanced through the rift's fiercest plasma storms, each ship a needle threading chaos. Interceptors weaved through lightning arcs, firing disruptor pulses in unison. The carrier pulsed violently, its tendrils lashing outward. Kale barked, "Hold the line. Focus on the heart." Every vessel harmonized, a symphony of destruction and precision. Humanity had returned not as refugees, but as architects of war, storm, and destiny. The rift's heart awaited, and only one force would claim it. Quantum lances fired, converging on the carrier's crystalline core. Energy flares lit the storm like miniature suns. The hybrid ship roared in electromagnetic fury, tendrils whipping through the void. Kale's fleet shuddered under backlash, shields sparking, but maintained formation. "Do not relent," he shouted. Every crew member felt the weight of history. The exiled, the betrayed, the forgotten, all surging through human veins, driving the assault. The core fractured, resonating violently. The carrier convulsed, adaptive systems flaring into overdrive. Lightning ripped across the rift, plasma arcs synchronized with the fleet's attacks, forming a storm of steel and fire. Kale's eyes glimmered with grim satisfaction. Humanity's first major victory in decades of exile had begun. Not complete, but decisive. The hybrid ship's pulse faltered. For the first time, the galaxy saw what it meant when exiles returned, masters of storms, technology, and vengeance. The crystalline core of the hybrid carrier cracked, spewing arcs of alien energy into the void. Kale's fleet dodged lightning pulses, shields singing under the strain. "We've breached it," Kale muttered, eyes narrowing. Yet the ship didn't collapse. It adapted instantly, rerouting power through auxiliary conduits, its tendrils flickering with renewed vigor. Humanity's first strike had exposed a new layer of complexity, and Kale realized the carrier was more than a vessel. It was a sentient ledger, cataloging centuries of human warfare. Engineering teams raced to interface with the exposed conduits, siphoning energy while avoiding the carrier's automated defenses. Every pulse recorded, every tactic mirrored, feeding back into the hybrid intelligence. Kale's voice rang across the command deck. "We press forward, adapt as it adapts." Outside, the rift's storms intensified, lightning arcing across ships like a conductor's baton. Humanity's return was no longer subtle. It was a storm reshaping the galaxy's memory of them. The holographic Draven flickered, his face pale but resolute. "Kale, there is a failsafe. The carrier will replicate itself if we destroy it outright." Kale's eyes widened. A seed, not just a weapon. Draven continued. "We must contain it, learn from it, before it spreads across systems. If we fail, it will rewrite the galaxy in its image." The weight of choice pressed down. Destroying the carrier might end this battle, but risk uncontainable replication. Humanity had to decide carefully. Kale issued new orders, selective strikes, containment protocols, and adaptive feedback loops to destabilize the carrier without total annihilation. The fleet's maneuvers became surgical, precise, a dance of fire and logic. Drones wove around tendrils, cutting conduits without triggering replication. Kale's voice resonated. We were exiled, forgotten, and underestimated. Now, we strike not to destroy recklessly, but to command the future. The fleet moved with purpose, each strike a testament to centuries of survival and cunning. The hybrid carrier's systems began converging toward its core, energy signatures spiking like a heartbeat under siege. Kale's fleet braced as tendrils lashed outward, reshaping the battlefield with shocking speed. "It's consolidating power," muttered the tactical officer. Engineers monitored feedback loops. Every attack prompted precise countermeasures, but each intervention fed Kale's adaptive strategy. Humanity had returned to the galaxy not as prey, but as predators, masters of storms, machines, and strategy alike. Quantum lances targeted auxiliary nodes, while drones carried resonance disruptors into deep conduits. Lightning arcs from the rift intertwined with human firepower, amplifying energy pulses that shook the hybrid vessel. Kale's voice rang with determination. "Focus the assault. Contain it. Learn from it." The carrier pulsed violently, a living archive resisting capture, yet every maneuver revealed vulnerabilities. Humanity's centuries in exile had forged them for this moment. Precision, courage, and relentless adaptation. Kale watched the hybrid carrier's pulse fluctuate erratically. The ship was alive, sentient, yet faltering under the fleet's coordinated assaults. "We are at the edge," he whispered. Engineers interfaced with auxiliary systems, siphoning data while maintaining the vessel's stability. Each attempt risked triggering replication, yet offered unmatched insight into lost human colonies, alien conquests, and forgotten wars. Kale's hands tightened over controls. This was more than battle. It was the reclamation of history itself. The rift convulsed, lightning arcing across the fleet in chaotic patterns. Drones executed complex maneuvers, feints, and synchronized strikes, exploiting the carrier's brief miscalculations. Kale's voice cut through the storm. "Every second counts. We stabilize it, or it stabilizes itself at our cost." The carrier's pulse slowed, then fluttered, its tendrils retreating. Humanity had reached the edge of control, and for the first time, victory and revelation hung in balance, tied to courage, cunning, and the hard-earned lessons of exile. Data streams poured from the hybrid carrier, revealing the galaxy as it had been, and the truths long erased. Names of lost fleets, exiled colonies, and forgotten victories filled hollow screens. Kale's eyes scanned the ledger, his chest tightening. Humanity's century in exile, cataloged in alien intelligence, was now theirs to wield. "Every loss, every betrayal, every debt," he murmured. Humanity had been erased from records, but no longer from memory. Kale's fleet stabilized the carrier containing its systems while extracting knowledge. Lightning arcs lit the Perseus rift, reflecting on determined faces. "We return not just to collect debts, but to reclaim our story," Kale said, voice firm. The hybrid carrier, once a predator, had become a repository of truth. Humanity's return had begun with vengeance, but now it was tempered by revelation. The galaxy would remember exiles who thrived, adapted, and finally demanded justice. News of the hybrid carrier's containment spread across subspace channels like wildfire. Alien empires scrambled, questioning every record of human extinction. Kale's fleet remained in Perseus Rift, shields synchronized to storm currents, but the galaxy outside trembled. "Every system will react," Kale said, some with fear, some with aggression. Analysts projected that fractured alliances would implode within days. Humanity's return was no longer a single battle. It was a cosmic tremor reverberating through centuries of deception and neglect. Draven's hologram reappeared, urgency in his voice. "Kale, they will come for the carrier. We cannot predict the speed or scale." Kale's gaze hardened. "Then let them come. We decide when, where, and how history remembers us. Outside, fleet sensors detected the first probes and scout vessels approaching from the Korvax and Lurian sectors. The galaxy had noticed. Humanity had returned, not as whispers and myths, but as stormborn masters, ready to confront all who underestimated them. From the shadows of uncharted sectors, ancient human designs re-emerged. Ghost fleets, ships thought lost in exile, joined Kael's armada, revealed through Draven's decrypted archives. Engines roared as lost dreadnoughts lit the void, their hulls scarred, but weapons primed. "They survived," whispered an officer. Kael's grin was grim. They waited. Now they fight. The galaxy had not seen these exiles. Centuries of survival in hostile systems had forged them into perfect warriors, bonded with technology, storms, and alien beasts alike. Kael ordered the integration of the ghost fleets into the main armada. Coordinated drills synchronized centuries-old tactics with innovations. Plasma arcs and quantum lances cut paths through the rift like lightning blades. Humanity's return was no longer symbolic. It was unstoppable. Every ghost ship carried knowledge of exile and survival, every crew member fueled by memory of betrayal and the desire to reclaim lost honor. The galaxy had counted them out once. Now it would learn the cost of underestimation. The Lurian and Korvax councils convened in panic. Holochambers glimmered with anxious representatives, projecting maps of the Perseus Rift and Kael's fleet. "Humans are no longer extinct," whispered a diplomat. "They are something beyond prediction." Debates erupted. Some called for immediate retaliation, others for negotiation. Kael monitored transmissions, eyes gleaming. "Let them squabble," he muttered. "Fear fractures alliances faster than firepower ever could." Humanity's reputation was rewriting itself even before the first full-scale war had begun. Draven appeared again, warning, "Kyle, any reckless engagement could push them into open war across multiple sectors." Kyle's hand hovered over command controls. "Then we engage selectively," he said. "We strike where weakness appears first, not where numbers are greatest." Outside, fleets in orbit adjusted, unaware that human strategy now encompassed centuries of exile, knowledge of enemy psychology, and adaptive technology. The galaxy had underestimated exiles once. They would not make the same mistake twice. Kael's fleet advanced toward Korvax border systems, blending new ghost ships with dreadnoughts. Every move anticipated possible counterattacks, every maneuver calculated against multiple contingencies. Interceptors danced among gravitic eddies while drones carried disruption fields. The hybrid carrier's knowledge, once a threat, has now enhanced the fleet's strategy. Kael's grin was cold. We turn their lessons against them. Humanity's return had evolved from survival to domination. Smart, adaptive, unstoppable. Korvax scouts detected the approaching fleet and fired warning volleys. Plasma arcs erupted across the void, lighting ships in violent flashes. Kyle barked orders. "Do not engage unnecessarily. Study them, learn, strike precisely." Every Korvax move was mirrored, predicted, and countered. Outside, the Perseus Rift roared, lightning and storm arcs dancing in harmony with the fleet's assault. Humanity had returned to claim its place, and every system it touched would remember the calculated fury of the Exiles. Korvax orbital cities shuddered as Kael's fleet approached. Sensors detected minimal resistance, defensive arrays faltering under psychological warfare and precision strikes. Kael's voice resonated. Offer them a chance to pay tribute or risk annihilation. Holobroadcasts projected across orbital relays, delivering the ultimatum. Panic erupted within the Korvax command centers. Centuries of underestimating humans had left them vulnerable. Now, their survival depended on appeasement rather than arms. Draven whispered, "This is the first step, Kael. One system sets the precedent." Kale's eyes gleamed as orbital structures transmitted energy readings matching human weapon harmonics. "They will learn quickly," he said. "Tribute is not surrender. It is recognition. We reclaim what was ours, and the galaxy remembers." Outside, the Perseus Rift storm flared, illuminating the fleet like a crown of lightning. Humanity had returned, not merely to fight, but to reshape the galaxy's order, and collect every debt owed with interest. Korvac's systems quivered under the Exiles' shadow. Small resistance fleets attempted ambushes, but every move was anticipated. Kale's fleet adapted in real time, weaving through asteroid fields and gravitic turbulence. "They think surprise will save them," Kale muttered. "They are learning that we survive where others perish." Human ingenuity, born of exile, transformed every battlefield into a controlled environment, forcing enemies to reveal weakness or be destroyed. Drones infiltrated hidden orbital bases, transmitting simulations of failed strategies back to Kale's command. The hybrid carrier's intelligence now augments fleet tactics, suggesting optimal strikes without overexposing assets. Kale's grin was grim. "We fight with knowledge, not just firepower." Lightning arcs from the Perseus Rift reflected across hulls, painting the fleet as hunters in a storm, each ship a blade aimed at the galaxy's old arrogance. The hybrid carrier pulsed again, its tendrils extending into the Rift's plasma storms. Energy readings spiked, resonating with the fleet's adaptive weapons. Kale barked orders: "Synchronize shields to the storm pulse. Use its energy against it." Engineers adjusted field harmonics, converting violent plasma surges into power for counterattacks. Every strike became amplified, every maneuver a dance between chaos and control. Humanity's mastery of storms was unmatched. The rift itself seemed alive, reacting to the battle. Lightning arcs formed channels for drones. Plasma currents carried tactical volleys. Kale whispered, "We were forged here, exiled here, and now we command it." The carrier convulsed under amplified strikes, yet every pulse reinforced its hybrid intelligence. The dance of adaptation continued, a duel of minds, machines, and storms, with the Exiles pushing the galaxy toward a reckoning it had long ignored. Messages streamed across galactic councils. The Lurians and Korvax debated, fearful of human power yet unwilling to submit fully. Kyle's holographic projections filled their chambers. A fleet of exiles, unmatched in technology, storm mastery, and strategy. "We are not beggars," Kale's voice echoed. "We are collectors of debts, and our patience has limits." Panic fractured unity. Alliances began dissolving before the exiles even fired a shot. Draven warned Kale, "Diplomacy now may decide more than battle later." Kale's grin was subtle. "Let them fracture themselves. We will shape the outcome, not chase it." Outside, the fleet prepared for limited strikes, enforcing tribute and recognition where resistance lingered. Humanity's return was no longer myth. It was proof that exile had bred mastery, patience, and inevitability. The galaxy had underestimated them once. It would not survive under the same assumptions twice. The hybrid carrier reacted unpredictably, adapting new strategies mid-assault. Kale's fleet engaged cautiously, testing defenses while maintaining containment. Each pulse of its core sent waves of energy through the fleet, probing neural interfaces and sensor grids. "It is learning at an exponential rate," muttered the chief engineer. Kale's hands tightened over controls. "Then we evolve faster. Humanity thrives on challenge." Every exchange became a test of intelligence and reflex. Interceptors darted through energy surges, drones synchronized to human neural predictions, and quantum lances targeted auxiliary conduits. The carrier's tendrils recoiled and surged in counterpoint, but every miscalculation revealed insight. Kale's voice rang across the command deck. "Do not let fear dictate action. Adapt, overcome, dominate." Humanity's return was no longer reactive. It was a deliberate, precise assertion of power across the galaxy's stage. Korvac's worlds prepared tribute under Kale's threat, fleets surrendering weapons and resources in controlled displays. Kale watched through holomaps, the scale of compliance impressing him. "Every system that yields strengthens the precedent," he said. Humanity's return was measured, calculated. Not a rampage, but a reclamation. Every act of submission recorded in hybrid archives, every transaction a ledger of debts once ignored. Draven's hologram flickered. "Kyle, they see us not just as a threat, but inevitability." Kyle's voice was firm. "Then let them remember. Humanity was erased from memory, but not from destiny. We return not as victims, but as rulers of the debts owed across centuries." Outside, the Perseus Rift storm flared in celebration or warning. Kale did not care. Humanity's century of exile had forged them into legends, and the galaxy would pay for every slight, with interest. The Korvac's council splintered under pressure. Some systems pushed for compliance, while others secretly armed fleets, fearing human domination. Kale watched subspace chatter, analyzing signals with surgical precision. "They fracture themselves before we strike," he muttered. Every disagreement was a battlefield, every fear a weapon. Humanity's return had reshaped the political landscape without a single full-scale engagement. Ghost fleets integrated seamlessly, their crews recalling centuries-old tactics lost to time. Drones infiltrated hidden orbital stations, gathering intelligence, while interceptors harassed minor resistance fleets. Kale's grin was grim. "Exiles remember. Exiles endure. Exiles command." Outside, the Perseus Rift's plasma arcs shimmered, a warning to all observers. The galaxy would learn the cost of underestimating humanity. Again, Draven's hologram flickered urgently. "Kyle, fragments of my father's fleet remain, scattered across border sectors. They carry technology we cannot fully predict." Kale's eyes narrowed. The betrayer's legacy is alive and dangerous. Engineers cross-referenced hybrid carrier archives, finding partial schematics of unknown weapon systems hidden in exiled fleets. Humanity's enemies might still possess remnants of devastating technology, but Kale had one advantage: foresight. Kale's fleet is divided into specialized task forces. Ghost fleets hunted the hidden betrayer remnants, while interceptors engaged in simulated assaults to mask their approach. Lightning flared across the Perseus Rift as the hybrid carrier pulsed with anticipation. Kale whispered, "Let them reveal themselves. Every secret comes with a price." The Exiles had returned not just to reclaim systems, but to unravel betrayal itself, centuries of treachery now exposed to human cunning. Kale devised a bold plan. Using quantum entanglement to synchronize fleet strikes across multiple systems simultaneously. Engineers worked feverishly, recalibrating resonance lances and plasma arrays to match. "If this succeeds, we strike faster than their response time," Kale explained. Every ship moved with precision, every drone synchronized to anticipate enemy maneuvers. Humanity's century of exile had honed patience, cunning, and technological mastery into a single, lethal force. The hybrid carrier reacted violently, tendrils lashing through the rift as quantum pulses threatened to destabilize auxiliary conduits. Kale's orders were sharp. Focus the quantum arrays. Contain the carrier's reflexes. Energy arcs intertwined with the fleet's attacks, forming a storm of synchronized destruction. For the first time, the carrier faltered under calculated pressure. Humanity's return had evolved, not merely survival, but control of the battlefield itself. Enemy scouts detected the fleet approaching outer systems. Kale's ships vanished into gravitational eddies, cloaked by adaptive stealth fields. "We are ghosts," he said, "silent, unseen, unstoppable." Every maneuver was designed to mislead and confuse. Ghost fleets struck minor installations before anyone realized the full scale of the Exiles' presence. Humanity's return now carried fear as much as firepower. The hybrid carrier pulsed, sensing these movements, but for the first time, its reflexes lagged behind human cunning. Kale's hand hovered over the command deck. They anticipate too much. We anticipate more. Drones infiltrated orbital arrays, dismantling systems while leaving subtle traces to mislead enemy intelligence. Humanity had mastered stealth, adaptation, and aggression, all born of exile, all tempered by patience and strategy. Kale's fleet converged on the first border systems demanding tribute. Plasma cannons and quantum lances flared, but full engagement was unnecessary. Resistance faltered under psychological pressure, ghost fleets, and the shadow of the hybrid carrier. Kale's voice resonated. Strike precision, not recklessness. Command obedience, not chaos. The Exiles had returned, reshaping galactic politics through strategy as much as firepower. Lightning arcs from the Perseus Rift illuminated orbital cities as drones and interceptors demonstrated controlled superiority. Draven whispered, "They see humanity as inevitability now." Kale's grin was cold and resolute. "Then let them remember," he said. Humanity's century in exile had forged not just warriors but masters of storms, strategy, and vengeance. The galaxy had underestimated them once. Never again. The hybrid carrier pulsed with renewed energy, its crystalline core radiating alien intelligence. Kale studied the readings. Every pulse, every tendril, now a window into centuries of combined human and alien warfare. "It's a library and a weapon," he muttered. Engineers interfaced remotely, siphoning strategic data while keeping the core contained. The carrier was no longer just an opponent. It was a repository of humanity's forgotten past and future potential. Drones infiltrated auxiliary nodes, extracting schematics of advanced alien technologies. The fleet maintained formation, plasma arcs flaring in the Perseus Rift storm. Kale whispered to his officers, "Every fragment we take is a step closer to mastery, but one wrong move and it will replicate uncontrollably." Humanity had returned to reclaim not only systems but knowledge erased from memory, and the galaxy would tremble under both. Korvax and Lurian fleets, spurred by panic, launched counterattacks. Kale's fleet braced, engines roaring in synchronization with storm currents. Plasma volleys clashed, drones swarmed, and interceptors danced through gravitic turbulence. Kale barked orders, "Do not overcommit. Use precision, not brute force." Every engagement was a controlled test, every strike designed to fracture enemy morale while minimizing collateral risk. The hybrid carrier reacted, tendrils slicing through plasma storms, shields flaring in pulses of brilliant light. Yet Kale's strategy turned its adaptive reflexes against it. Quantum lances destabilized auxiliary conduits while drones targeted its predictive systems. Outside, lightning arcs illuminated the chaos. Humanity had returned not merely to fight, but to orchestrate destruction with elegance and control. The galaxy's perception of exiles would never recover. Engineers finally accessed the carrier's deepest archives. Data flooded holoscreens. Hidden human colonies, lost fleets, alien conquests, and weapon schematics beyond imagination. Kale's jaw tightened. Centuries of hidden knowledge, all catalogued by this monstrosity. Draven added, "And now it is ours. But we must wield it carefully. Every secret carries consequences." The hybrid carrier had become a key to understanding, not merely an enemy to destroy. Kale ordered the selective integration of knowledge into fleet AI and human crews. Ghost fleets adapted centuries-old tactics with newfound efficiency, weapon arrays tuned to hybrid resonance, and neural networks synchronized with strategic projections. Every move, every calculation, every pulse was now informed by history encoded in alien intelligence. Humanity had returned to dominate not by numbers alone, but by intellect, adaptation, and foresight. The Perseus Rift raged violently, plasma storms tearing across systems. Kale's fleet navigated with precision, exploiting currents to amplify attacks. The hybrid carrier convulsed under calculated strikes, tendrils fracturing, core pulsing erratically. "We are bending the storm to our will," Kale whispered. Every maneuver synchronized with environmental chaos, turning peril into a weapon. Humanity's century of exile had honed them into storm-born strategists. Enemy reinforcements arrived, but Kale anticipated every movement. Drones intercepted signals, disrupted communications, and created phantom fleets to mislead opponents. Interceptors wove through plasma arcs, striking with surgical precision. The hybrid carrier faltered, a creature of intelligence now restrained by human cunning. Humanity had returned to claim dominance, to collect debts, and to assert that exile had made them untouchable. Korvax and Lurian systems submitted tribute, fleets surrendering resources and allegiance under the threat of precision strikes. Kale's voice resonated across subspace. Tribute is recognition, not surrender. Holo-projections displayed the Exiles' full might, ghost fleets, hybrid-assisted weaponry, and centuries of accumulated knowledge. The galaxy watched as humanity reclaimed not just territory, but its story, its honor, and its rightful power. Draven whispered, "Every system that yields strengthens the precedent." Kale's eyes gleamed. Then, let all remember, humanity was erased once, underestimated twice, but we return to claim what was ours. Lightning arcs from the Perseus Rift reflected on hulls as engines roared in celebration. Humanity had returned, masters of storms, technology, and vengeance. Debts had been collected, and interest would be exacted across the galaxy. Reports came from beyond the rift. Distant systems were uniting in fear, consolidating fleets against the Exiles. Kale studied subspace channels, noting every pattern. "They think numbers will intimidate us," he said. Ghost fleets repositioned. Interceptors danced along gravitic eddies, and drones transmitted false intelligence to sow confusion. Humanity's return had shifted from reclamation to preemptive dominance. Every move calculated, every enemy misstep anticipated. Draven flickered beside Kale. "The hybrid carrier senses the consolidation. It is preparing, adapting beyond our current models." Kale nodded. "Then we force it to evolve on our terms." Plasma storms from the Perseus Rift illuminated the fleet, lightning arcs cutting through the void like blades. Humanity had survived exile by mastering adaptation. Now they would master the galaxy itself. The first large-scale engagement erupted at the Korvax-Lurian border. Fleets collided with engines roaring, weapons flaring in synchronized volleys. Kale's ghost ships weaved through defenses, striking weak points identified through hybrid-assisted intelligence. "Precision first, destruction second," Kale barked. The enemy underestimated the combination of exile-hardened experience and alien-acquired knowledge, and it showed in their faltering formations. Lightning arcs from the rift danced across the battlefield, synchronizing with plasma volleys. The hybrid carrier pulsed in response, adapting faster than ever. Kale's fleet countered with quantum entanglement arrays, interceptors darting through turbulent currents to disrupt auxiliary nodes. Humanity's return was no longer subtle. This was war as art, blending strategy, technology, and raw resolve into a storm no opponent could withstand. Hybrid archives revealed hidden contingencies, weapon blueprints capable of annihilating entire fleets in seconds. Kyle reviewed the schematics, chest tightening. "The betrayer left legacies more dangerous than we imagined," he murmured. Draven added, "And now we hold them. The choice is ours. Wield carefully or risk repeating history." Humanity had become not just a force of vengeance but a guardian of ancient power, responsible for what should and should not be unleashed. Kale activated adaptive prototypes, integrating them with ghost fleets. Plasma arcs and quantum lances fired in calculated patterns, testing weapon efficiency while maintaining containment. Outside, the Perseus Rift storm flared violently, illuminating the hybrid carrier and exiles alike. Knowledge and firepower danced in synchronization, a duet of intelligence and precision. Humanity's return was no accident. It was destiny, armed with understanding. The hybrid carrier lashed outward, its tendrils ripping through plasma storms and asteroid fields. Shockwaves radiated, testing human shields to their limits. Kyle shouted commands, rerouting energy to stabilizers while drones countered feedback pulses. Every strike from the carrier was a question, every human response an answer. The Perseus Rift itself seemed to pulse with the intensity of battle, as if the galaxy's heart mirrored the chaos above. Kale's fleet synchronized with the storm, interceptors weaving through plasma arcs while ghost fleets struck auxiliary nodes. The carrier convulsed under adaptive quantum pulses, yet fought to maintain its integrity. Kale's eyes burned with focus. We do not break. We bend the storm to our will. Humanity's century in exile had prepared them for this, and now the galaxy witnessed the full force of masters born from survival, cunning, and fury. The hybrid carrier's core flickered, emitting pulses of alien intelligence interspersed with echoes of human memory. Kyle realized it was not just a weapon. It was a reflection of history, betrayal, and survival. It remembers. And it adapts, he whispered. Engineers interfaced carefully, extracting critical archives while stabilizing conduits. One wrong move could trigger replication, but every success brought humanity closer to ultimate mastery. The fleets moved in perfect coordination, plasma arcs and quantum lances striking in unison. Lightning illuminated the rift, reflecting across hulls scarred from centuries of exile. Kyle's voice cut through the calm. We are not prey. We are inevitability. Humanity's return was no longer rumor. It was law, strategy, and unyielding power. The galaxy's fractured legacy now faced its reckoning at the hands of the exiles who refused to be forgotten. Kale's fleet converged on the hybrid carrier's core one last time. Engines roared in unison, quantum lances synchronized, drones swarming with surgical precision. This is the culmination of centuries, Kale muttered. Every tactic, every innovation, every lesson from exile coalesced into one decisive strike. The Perseus Rift roared around them, plasma arcs forming a crown of fire and electricity. The hybrid carrier reacted violently, tendrils lashing outward in desperation. Its adaptive intelligence surged, anticipating moves before they occurred. Kale's grin was grim. Then anticipate faster than it can. Drones infiltrated auxiliary conduits, destabilizing systems while interceptors distracted adaptive defenses. Humanity had returned not as prey, not as warriors, but as masters of storms, technology, and destiny. The crystalline core fractured, pulsing wildly as hybrid intelligence struggled to maintain cohesion. Kale barked orders. Contain the energy, siphon the data. Do not destroy unless necessary. Engineers raced to interface with the core, capturing centuries of hidden knowledge. The hybrid carrier's screams echoed across the rift, a symphony of alien and human history intertwined. Quantum feedback destabilized the carrier's tendrils, forcing it to retract. Plasma storms aligned with fleet strikes, amplifying energy output. Kale whispered, We harness, not annihilate. We claim what is ours without recklessness. Humanity's return had evolved beyond vengeance. It was now the stewardship of forgotten power and reclaimed legacy. Korvax and Lurian fleets watched from a distance as the hybrid carrier faltered. Panic spread among their ranks. Tribute alone now seemed insufficient. Kale's holographic presence projected across subspace. History has remembered humanity wrong. We are not erased. We are inevitable. Every system trembled. Every council debated. But no one dared challenge the Exiles directly. Draven warned, "Kyle, we cannot underestimate replication potential." Kyle's gaze hardened. Containment first, power second, and history. History belongs to us now. Ghost fleets swept into position, drones enforcing stabilizing fields, interceptors neutralizing adaptive countermeasures. The galaxy watched as humanity claimed not only survival, but mastery, rewriting centuries of neglect and betrayal into a single, undeniable truth. With the hybrid carrier stabilized and its knowledge secured, Kale surveyed the fleet. Ghost ships integrated archives, fleets optimized weaponry, and systems long thought lost re-emerged under human command. "We are more than survivors," Kale said. "We are the authors of history, the masters of our destiny." Every exiled fleet now bore the marks of lessons learned, honed into instruments of precision and strategy. Tribute flowed from compliant systems, knowledge shared, and the galaxy slowly bowed to inevitability. The Perseus Rift storm simmered, lightning arcs reflecting a hard-won dominion. Kale whispered to his officers, "This is only the beginning. Humanity has returned to claim what was theirs, not just in vengeance, but in legacy." The Exiles were no longer erased. They were immortalized in action, strategy, and power. The hybrid carrier, once a weapon and recorder of history, now served humanity's designs. Its tendrils pulsed gently, synchronized with human technology. Kale gazed at the Perseus Rift one last time. Engines roaring, ghost fleets aligned, and the galaxy unfolding before them. Humanity had returned not as beggars or victims, but as rulers of their reclaimed empire. Draven's hologram flickered, smiling faintly. Centuries of exile. And they have become legends. Kale nodded, voice firm and resolute. "We were underestimated, forgotten, and erased, but never broken. Humanity commands now. Every debt collected, every wrong avenged, and the galaxy will remember us, not as exiles, but as masters." Lightning arcs reflected off hulls as engines roared across the void. Humanity had returned, and nothing in the galaxy would ever forget. The end. Thank you for watching AstroMyths. If you enjoyed this story, smash that like button and subscribe for more epic sci-fi tales, cosmic mysteries, and mind-bending myths. And if you like this story, or have a myth, mystery, or galaxy you'd like us to explore, drop your ideas in the comments. We're always listening. Until next time, keep your eyes on the stars and your mind open to the unknown.